Hello everyone, welcome to session number 7. Today we are going to talk about toxins, environmental toxins, and how to implement different strategies, very simple strategies every day, daily, to know how to handle all those toxins that we are exposed in our daily life. So we are exposed to hundreds of toxins daily. So why is important for us to consider to implement strategies to be able to handle all those toxins, or at least to reduce some of them? It's because all those toxins can affect our immunity, can overload our liver, which is a very, very important organ for detoxing and for a lot of functions in the body, and can also affect something very important, that is our hormonal health. So today what we're going to do is we are going to explore different things or simple things that you can implement in your daily life that can really help you reduce that toxin burden. To understand which things we can implement to be able to eliminate part of these toxins that we are exposed, we need to talk about which are the common toxins that we can be exposed on our daily life. So these are cleaning products, plastic and food packaging, personal care items, non-stick cookware, or also air fresheners and fragrances. All these things that we have in our homes, from the toothpaste that we use, whatever we use to wash our laundry, creams that we put in our face, makeup, also the things that we cook with, because we were talking about non-stick cookware. So anything that has that code of non-stick could be really, really toxic because they carry cadmium, aluminum, and can also carry other metals that then we find when we do, for example, toxic metals testing. If someone had the opportunity to do any of those are common metals that we find in people that use these cookware that are non-stick ones. Well, now we are going to analyze how those toxins that we are exposed daily can affect our health. We already said immunity, liver, hormonal health, but then we are going to explore more these things more in detail. So things like allergies, skin problems, inflammation, hormonal imbalances, brain fog, fatigue, weight gain, all those things can be considered as possible symptoms of a toxic overload. Why this happen? Because all these toxins need to be cleared in the liver, this important organ that we were talking about. So if we are exposed every day to a lot of different toxins and we are not really doing anything very active to be able to not only diminish this toxin but also clear those toxins from the body, what is going to happen is that everything is going to start clogging in the liver and it will produce a toxin overload. What we can do about that is what we are going to explore next. Now we are going to discuss about simple detox strategies that you can implement every day. We are going to make a list of those things that are very simple. For example, if we think about things that we do use every day in our kitchen, instead of using non-stick cookware, you should start buying things that are from like the bioceramic materials, stainless steel, or you can use other things in your kitchen that are made of silicone or also glass. Try to avoid 100% plastic if you can. Why? Because plastic is considered this type of material that can actually produce in the body an increase of different hormones that can finally end up in a hormonal imbalance. These are so-called xenoestrogen or hormone disruptors. Plastic in general do contain these type of toxins inside. So we want to avoid also heating things in the microwave that are inside a plastic container. We want to avoid mainly using all kind of plastic in the kitchen in your daily life in general. Even when you want to buy things, try to avoid try to avoid as much as possible, because I think that is not possible for everything, but as much as possible, try to avoid things that are inside a plastic package, right? Because again, we are talking about these hormone disruptors called xenoestrogen that are mainly in plastic. If you're going to drink water, try to have your own water container. Try to avoid drinking water from plastic bottles. This common thing that everyone do, that is putting water in a plastic bottle and then put that in the fridge to be frozen, and then take that somewhere else, like to do exercise or maybe to go to the gym, because that way you keep your water fresh or cold. That is a very, very toxic practice, because that plastic from cold or frozen turns into room temperature, and that change on the temperature of the plastic bottle can send all that BPA from the plastic to the water, and then you are drinking that and putting that into your body. So for sure, you don't want to do that. The same happens when you're heating something in plastic. Choose fragrance-free, non-toxic cleaning products, or this applies also for makeup. If you're going to choose makeup, try to choose makeup that are 100% natural, avoiding as much as possible toxins that are very common in regular products, because those products also contain these things that we are talking about or we are discussing about. There are these hormone disruptors. So that makeup that you put every day that seems so simple and not really having any type of effect in your body, well, in a long term, it will. So be careful with that, because it's something that you use every day. So imagine being exposed daily to that. When we talk about things like air fresheners or fragrances, avoid using that daily, because that also contains these toxins that we are talking about. Again, we are going to be very repetitive. We're going to repeat this every time that we are talking about these hormone disruptors. Considering the makeup that we were talking about, then we can consider also natural deodorant, toothpaste, shampoo, all those things that probably once you start reading the labels, that is something that I do recommend to do. That is a practice that you should incorporate also when you go to the supermarket. Try to read the labels, because there's a lot of toxins that are really now very popular that you can know about them already. There's a lot of advertisement about phthalates, about parabens or synthetic fragrances. If you start reading the labels, you will be much more aware of those things that are toxic in your daily products. So read the labels. Things that we need to consider as well, if we are talking about daily toxins that we haven't addressed yet, is food. Because there's a lot of toxins that can come also with food and can act as a hormone disruptor as well. Eat or buy organic as much as possible. We know that organic is not 100% assuring that food is going to be 100% clean, but at least we can get rid of some of the most common toxins of maybe fruits and vegetables that are sprayed, heavily sprayed. So to know more about this, there's some information online that anyone can access to. And I think that I have already mentioned this in another module in one of the sessions. These lists are called Clean 15 and Dirty Dozen. Dirty Dozen. What about this list? You can find on those lists 15 most clean foods or vegetables or fruits. And then in the Dirty Dozen, you will find the ones that are the most sprayed. So if you go to the supermarket, try to avoid the ones that you find in that Dirty Dozen list, because that means that if you are not able to find those organic, it's better for you not to buy them at all. So why? Because all these things, all these toxins that you find in that products that are heavily sprayed, they can also make your liver to be overloaded, and they can affect your immunity, and they can act also as hormone disruptors. I know that if we think about this food, buying organic, I know what you're thinking. probably you're going to say, well, organic is much more expensive. And I understand that. So that is why I think if you don't have the possibility to buy organic 100%, there's options. Something that I do recommend a lot to wash vegetables and fruits is to use an ozone generator. It's a simple machine that is not expensive at all. We are talking about maybe $50, $70, depending on the brand, that you can buy in Amazon, you can buy online. And it's a simple ozone generator that you use at home to wash your vegetables and fruits. You can also even wash your meat, the meat that you buy. If you don't have access to grass-fed beef or chicken, you can also clean your meat with that same ozone generator. You need to consider that if you're going to use ozone, it's not that simple that you can do it anywhere. I mean, you cannot use ozone in a plastic or metal container. So you need to use glass. That is important. But then once you get in contact with the idea of buying it, you will read the instructions, how to do it. Those references, how to do it and how to use it, are going to be within the sale vendor, are going to include all these instructions how to use it, of course. But that is a simple tip that you can incorporate in your daily life to clean your vegetables and fruits that can also be implemented to wash out things. Again, as I said before, your meats, for example, if you don't have access to organic. Another thing when we talk about food that is important to consider is that dairy in general. I know that most of people eat or consume dairy products. So besides all this difference on the type of dairy that we discussed about in another module, that is this type A1, type A2, and we are talking about the protein and how that protein can be more or less allergenic depending if it's A1 or A2. Besides that, dairy in general, if it's not organic, can come from cows that can be treated with hormones and other also being fed GMO corn or soy. Whatever the cow is going to eat, that is going to come into your body when you eat that meat or when you eat dairy that are coming from those type of animals. So consider something very important. Once you're going to choose dairy products, I feel that could be a priority when it comes to being organic. The same with eggs, because the problem with those products is whatever the animals are fed or whatever the animals are receiving as vaccines or hormones, that is going to end up in your body. Well, now what we're going to do is we're going to do activity together. We're going to plan a detox action plan. And we are going to think about simple things that we can implement every day. Because of course, if we think about doing changes or experiment or implementing changes, we cannot do everything in one day, or we cannot address everything at the same time. So tips: choose 1 to 2 areas to focus on. Like, for example, if you know from what we discussed today that you have things that you should be improving or changing in the kitchen and also in your bathroom, so you can pick those 2 areas and start working on those things. Like, for example, you know that maybe probably the toothpaste, if we talk about the bathroom, maybe the toothpaste is not, that is maybe not the ideal, or maybe the soap you're using, the shampoo. So start with those things first, trying to understand that the best way is choosing the things that you do daily. I mean, if you're shampooing daily, if you're using your cream daily, so start from those things, the ones that you are exposed the most. When it comes to the kitchen, the same thing. Because if you're using, your air fryer every day, and you know that your air fryer maybe is not from the material that we suggested as non-toxic ones, so you can start from there. If you have a lot of containers that are plastic, you should start from there. Maybe switching those containers into glass containers. And for example, thinking about changing your air fryer from the regular one to a bioceramic one. That is not expensive at all. But again, why I'm telling you to choose 1 or 2 things or 2 areas is because just to implement everything, it could be too expensive. And the idea is to make it simple for this to be a change that you could implement in the long term and start changing everything. Then you can also, this could be actually first of doing all the changes, but you can make a list of the things that you want to change. So once you have more clear idea or a better idea what you want to change, or the things that you think that could be toxic, then you can change different, you can choose different things of that list and start with 2 items at a time. So focus in this. Progress, not perfection. If you're already listening to this module and your intention is to change something about the toxins in your life, you're already doing something for you. So you don't need to do everything at once. Just being aware that there's something toxic in your environment and wanting to change that because you are conscious about the possible side effects that maybe that is having in your life, and recognizing that and willing to do something about it, that's already your first step. You are creating already a safer and cleaner environment for you, for your loved ones, your family. So you should be proud of that already. Keep going, so one step at a time, and see you next session.